Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your hurricane outlook and discussion. It's Thursday, the 19th day. All right, we're getting there, almost to the end of the season. The 19th day of November. Hurricane season ends November 30th, and I think we're going to end on a quiet note overall after the very busy season that we have had. That is a good thing. So this will be fairly short today. All right. Looking at the satellite shot, you can kind of see why things are nice and quiet. Very strong westerly winds cutting across, and then southwesterly winds up in this part of the Atlantic. But basically strong upper level winds, that's the idea, cutting across a good part of the Atlantic on the west side, across the Caribbean, and then over here in the tropical Atlantic, that's the same thing. Now that's a potent upper level low right there. And as that works its way south and west, if it can get into some warmer water, maybe the very cold air that's aloft up here, and that's why you see this kind of speckled cloud cover. I mean, if you know what you're looking for, you can just automatically know, oh, that's a big upper level low. But see these little thunderstorms in here trying to pop up? That might be able to consolidate some over the warmer waters if this continues off to the southwest with time. And maybe this will become one of those subtropical systems that gets a name way out there in the eastern Atlantic, only a bother to shipping interests. It might add a point or two to the ACE score, stuff like that. But no, nothing else developing anywhere down in the Caribbean. The Gulf of Mexico is now scoured out, nice and clear. Strong easterly winds at the surface down here. Cold air moved in, got in the low 30s here in the Wilmington area last night. Going to rebound quickly as high pressure scoots across the deep south out over the Atlantic, kind of like you see during the summer with that Bermuda high, except the November version. So the weather is going to improve, if you like warmer temperatures, over the weekend, and that's a good thing. I like warmer weather, generally speaking. It's November, though, so I could take some cold weather. And eventually, we will be talking about winter storms, but hopefully that'll hold off until January. In terms of anything major, I've got a lot of work to do, but enough about me. Let's get back to the tropics down in the southwest Caribbean. The best news of the month. I mean, come on, here it is, 0% chance of development. That follow-up system that tried to kind of troll everybody, and the weather doesn't do that. That's just us personifying it, or me in this case, right? But no, it's not going to do anything, and that's a good thing in terms of anything organized, but there will still be the potential, as they say in the paragraph there, that it is expected to produce some locally heavy rains and possible flooding over portions of southern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and northern Colombia. You don't see that mentioned very often, the actual country of Colombia down here along the northwest part of South America, which is a continent. But this system, let's go back to the satellite just for a second. Disorganized overall, but there is energy, there is moisture still hanging around down here where they definitely don't need it in terms of what's happened there after Iota. But at least we'll take this bit of great news, and this is a good thing to see. You know, we really, some of us really like tracking hurricanes. It's a really interesting thing. We don't like it when they intersect land and create a lot of problems. But now that we're starting to wind down the season, it's good to see things getting nice and quiet, especially after 30 named storms. In the Pacific, Polo came and went very quickly. It's dying away. It's way out of the normal bounds of when we would see development in the eastern Pacific, and so it didn't have much of a chance anyway. All right, the Vorticity signature, I like to point to this especially during the main part of the season. And when we talk about vorticity, that is spin in the atmosphere, and we can look at it in the computer modeling. I show you that more than anything else, and you can also see it through satellite imagery. And this product from the University of Wisconsin shows that very well. This is the vorticity, or the spin in the atmosphere, with that system that I was showing you. And look, it almost matches up perfectly, doesn't it? Right there, that's what that is. That's the upper level low, the storm system out there. And this is the fairly low level vorticity. This is about 850 millibars, or 5,000 feet up. And so there it is. It reflects very nicely. It's round, and that's what we look for. But this is not down in the tropics. This is up in the subtropics. If we look down in the tropics, there's less and less of this energy down there. At least in the form of it bundling from a vorticity standpoint. That's the way I look at it. There's still energy. The sun is still inputting its heat into the ocean, but it's going back to being trapped, latent heat, or the energy anyway, in the ocean, instead of being released in the form of tropical cyclones or tropical waves. You see really nothing out here, just a very few sparse areas of green, which is very low levels of vorticity. Then you have a little bit of a conglomeration of it here in and around Central America, either side, whether it's the Caribbean or the Pacific, but nothing bundling together. And we're going to see more and more of the vorticity signature of big storms up in the northern latitudes, like this, like the one over North America there, and then this one in the eastern Atlantic that I just showed you, as we progress into winter and next spring. And then down in this area, it is going to start to really fade away. It's just the way it goes as we transition out of the tropical season and the convective season to one that is more driven by mid-latitude storms, and that's what we will be tracking to a great extent during the off-season. So looking at the same area at the 850 millibar, see GFS 850 millibar from the 12Z run today, a global model. This is the initial condition. If we move this out to 24 hours, nothing down in the deep tropics of any note, just a weak impulse, and you can see that showing up right through here. Well, if I make it to where you can see it, you can see that right through here. Draw a little axis through there. There's another little axis you can draw through here. But those are very weak impulses in the atmosphere. The energy is spread out over a larger area. It's not bundling together. And so I'm not too concerned about anything developing. We're out at 72 hours here, 96, same kind of thing, which is great to see. Just a very large area of high pressure. You can see that right there, this height line. And it's the center of it sitting here over the southeast. Return flow around it, bringing nice warm conditions, maybe a stormy pattern coming up for next week. We'll address that on Monday as we get into the week ahead for Thanksgiving and beyond. But the next 5 days, nice and quiet through the tropics and looking at lower 48 weather. And we're going to revisit or visit again, whatever. We're going to visit this graphic from the Weather Service more and more in the off season, this big initiative of really promoting weather awareness. We are all drawn in, I guess. I mean, it's called HurricaneTrack for a reason. You come for the hurricanes, you stay for the other weather. The crowdfunding is there now to support me being able to do more. Not only, being able to, so that I can justify spending the time doing this. It pays my bills, but, these updates, but also going out in the field and covering larger events. Have we got some amazing ideas ahead on how we're going to use not only the funding, the actual dollars, but the resources, the people that I have met, and we're going to do a lot. So we're going to look at this more and more, make sure that you are tapped into what's going on in the world of weather. And at least right now, this map, which shows different watches and warnings, not too active, and that there will be periods where it is fairly inactive, and then there'll be periods where it's loaded up with blizzard warnings and ice storm warnings, and in the spring there'll be severe threats, and then it'll be hurricane season again next June. But between now and then, there's still definitely a lot to keep track of. And just on that subject, this pinkish area through here and over in parts of Oklahoma and the parts of northwest Texas Panhandle, those are your red flag warnings. And by the way, this graphic, in case you've just never seen it, didn't know what it was, it's at weather.gov right there, weather.gov, and this is what you get. You get this landing page. And let's say you live over here in the Texas Panhandle. Well, click on it. We'll do feedback another time. Click on it, and you get an idea of what's going on. They make these cool infographics, and this one, that pinkish color, is for critical fire weather conditions. And why? Well, you got southwest winds 20 to 30, and this is important. Very low relative humidity. I remember my daughter last night, my 5-year-old, was asking me about frost and moisture and how frost forms, and those low humidities, that doesn't allow frost to form, but it does indicate the possibility of fire weather problems. And so you see the same thing here in parts of Kentucky. Let's click on Lexington, and you zoom in here and you get the idea. They've got hazardous weather outlook, the special weather statement, and the red flag warning. You click on that and it tells you everything you need to know and why, and it talks about the combination of strong winds, just like we saw in Oklahoma and Texas, low relative humidity. Come on, outline it for me. Same thing there. And so that's what we're going to address. With everything going on in the world, we're busy. And I know you've got national television weather with the Weather Channel and other outlets. You've got your apps, and most of those are just crap because they're just spitting out raw data from GFS or whatever, and it goes out 45 days on some of them, and that's, what good is that? You need a guy like me to explain it to you, and other people that you follow and trust as well, and then you develop a consensus from knowledgeable people as to what's going to be going on in the world of weather. Simple as that. So that's what we will be doing more and more in the off season. All right? All right, well, that is it from me for today. I like it when they're short like this. And that's another thing that I'll be doing, and I'll talk about that later. We're going to do more of these short updates next year, and then a longer version, and I'll get into that later. But lots of things coming up. Change is not always bad. We'll be doing some good things that are changeable and in a positive direction. All right, have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon. As always, thanks for tuning in and giving me a part of your day. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. I'll chat with you again tomorrow.